You might have the most gorgeous garden on the block, but if you don't water it properly, it's not going to last very long. And here to tell us how is our green thumb guru, Master Gardener Ed Sordiff. Ed, thank you for inviting us to your home here in Chester. It's absolutely gorgeous.
Oh, thanks, Seth.
And you probably do a very good job watering.
Oh, I do. Well, watering is really important. A lot of people just think it's the plants or that's giving them problems, but it's really, they just don't know how to water. And there are so many different things out there to help you with your watering problems that's what I thought I would show today. Now, the primary thing in your garden, when you have a lawn or you have vegetables or anything, is if it hasn't rained in a week, you want at least an inch of rain or an inch of water on the ground there. And the reason you want an inch of it is because that will penetrate deeply into the soil, and that will actually make the plants forage deeper with their roots.
So you're creating a plant that's more stable and likely to keep going forward.
Yes, and as the roots go down, they go into cooler areas. So if a real heavy drought comes, they'll be more safe from the topsoils that are getting dried out.
Now let's start in the most old-fashioned, rudimentary way possible, the good old-fashioned watering can.
Yep. We have a regular watering can here. You can have plastic, galvanized, whatever. The 2 gallons a good size. You can just always have it filled up, ready to go. That's a good thing to do. One thing I did forget is the way you do measure how much water you have if you're using a sprinkler or something, is you actually put either a coffee can or something like one of these 5-gallon buckets in the spray stream.
So you know when to stop, when it's an inch.
Yeah, and it will take a long time. People are always surprised that it's maybe an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. It depends on your water pressure. And so then once you see you have an inch of water, then you can stop and you can move on. And you also want to try to water most things during the day. You don't want to water in the evening, because that's where you get your funguses and things over the evening.
And not in the morning either, before the sun starts to torch everything?
Well, you can do it in the morning too, because what's going to happen is it's going to dry out. Like it's breezy today, so I could probably even water 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock. It doesn't get dark till 7 or 8. So you can still do that, and it'll dry up if there's a nice breezy day.
Oh, okay, that's a really good tip.
Yeah. So.
Now, these things, let's talk about these. They're the newer hoses on the market. They claim to expand and contract. What are your thoughts on this?
Actually, these are really great hoses. I think Consumer Reports or something was doing a thing on it. They evaluated them, and they said it works really good. This is great for if you have a small garden, maybe you have a balcony on an apartment or something, you want a hose for that. This will work great for that. It's very light, it's very loose until you put the water in it. Then it expands and it becomes like a regular hose.
It's a pretty good idea.
Yeah, the only thing you wouldn't want to use this for is if you attach it to a sprinkler, because if you attach it to a sprinkler, then you turn off the sprinkler, this thing will start contracting, and then you'll drag your sprinkler.
You don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It's important that we get all that lawn watered, and these help us to get there, because you can't stand there and just spritz your lawn all day long.
No, you can't. So you have your oscillating sprinklers that are adjustable like this. It can adjust the width. You can even go just right in the center or to the right or to the left. Now, a lot of people, when they have a sprinkler like this, they'll find that all of a sudden it's not working. Some of these things are clogged up, and they'll wonder why. Now, if you had actually left your hose on the ground like most people do, you'll find that the ants actually like to make homes in there. They'll bring all the eggs in, and they'll start a little housekeeping in the hose. So once you turn on the hose, it's in the sprinkler, you're going to clog it all up. So you should always flush out your hose before you attach it to a sprinkler.
Gotcha.
If you've left it out. Now, right here, this one comes up with this neat little thing that's on the end, and it's actually like a little probe, and you're actually holding it by the thin part. And then all you would do is, if these were clogged up, you would just press that in and pull it out.
That's going to unclog everything.
Yeah, it would unclog everything, so you'd have no problem. And it goes right back on the end, and it's a stopper. So it's a pretty cool little item that goes with that.
Nice little trick. Now, Ed, I've been wondering the whole time, what's going on here?
Okay. Now, if you go to, this year they were at all the big box stores and stuff. This is a mister, but it's for people. It's like it would keep you cool if you were sunbathing or something. You put this on you. It's flexible. You can put it any way you want.
Oh, that's nice.
Yeah. And so it's an interesting thing, but what it's actually good for the garden is if you're doing a transplanted plant, say some annual or a bush or shrub, if you actually leave this on during the heat of the day, it will help that plant get over the stress of that time of day. So it would actually help the transplant go a little bit better and a little bit easier.
Let's talk about this. It's a water timer for people who are on the go.
Yeah, if you're on the go and you're on the way to work in the morning and you want to start watering a whole big section, these water timers are great. It can go for hours on end. You can say 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, 4. It depends on the timer, what it's able to do. So what you want to do is on the weekend when you are home, you'll want to water with the timer on it, see how long it gets to that inch of water, and then you'll know all week how much much water pressure you have and how long it takes to get an inch of water.
That's
in
a
there.
great idea. So you measure it that first time, and then you should be good throughout.
Yeah.
Now, Ed, let's talk about these little things that my dad, he's got 50,000 of these. What do you need? What can you throw away?
Okay. Well, some are better, some are not. Some are like this type of metal here, which I'm not even quite sure if it is metal. not the best. And some of the plastic things actually work a long time. This is so when you get to the end of your hose, you can just turn it off here, and then it would turn off the hose. So when you're like 50 yards from the house, you don't want to run back to the house to turn it on and off, so you can do that. So that's there. This is a splitter, a diverter. You put one hose in here. This one can go to the vegetable garden. This hose over here could go to the perennial garden, and you can turn them on and off while you're out in the yard. You can see actually there's a bigger version of that right there, where we have 4 items.
It's almost like a splitter.
Yeah, it is a splitter, and it has 4. So I was going to show you a couple things that are attached to that.
Okay, so Ed, what's going on with this hose over here?
So if you look at it, it was all dry, but now there's billions and billions of holes all over that hose, and what it's doing is basically sweating out the water. So it's not going up in the air, it's just going right along the ground. So what you would do is if you had a vegetable garden, you could lay this between the rows, you could actually bury it in the mulch, and then you would never see it. And then you would also let it go down to like 4 or 5 inches. Really, with this type of thing, you'd have to dig away the soil to see how deep the penetration is, to see how long to put it on.
Well, this is a great little invention, because you always tell us a lot of these plants, you're not supposed to water the leaves, you're supposed to get the soil underneath, like your tomato plants.
Yeah, so this would be perfect for tomatoes because it's really not spritzing up in the air, it's just really soaking right to the ground. And it actually conserves water. So in the West, where they really have to conserve water, it's a really good thing there too.
Now, lastly, you have a really fun toy, and it's right here. How does this work?
This is the tractor. It's a water tractor, basically. It's a sprinkler that's in the shape of a tractor that actually runs on water power. So as the sprinkler arms are turning around, they're turning a gear inside. Now the little tractor will start moving really imperceptibly. You hardly see it, but it does move, and it actually will follow the hose like a railroad track. So you
I love it.
Yeah.
So in other words, you take your hose and measure out a path on your lawn, and it'll go on that path.
Yeah, it'll go on that path. It'll go alongside your perennial garden, your annual garden, and you can actually do you can do figure 8s, well, not an 8 because it can't go over itself, but you can do
figure
an
S.
Yeah, an S and everything. So it's really pretty cool, and it's I think it's an older technology too. This one you can see is a little bit beaten up. It's very old, but it just keeps on working because it's just the water and the gears.
Well, Ed, we really appreciate having you here today. Thanks for inviting us out to Chester.
Thanks for coming.
If you want any of this information or more, all you have to do is go to mymassappeal.com a little bit later today.